What age did you get your first $1 million?
20 years old.
How big is investing in yourself? Even basketball-wise, how did you do that?
Just putting your head down and not looking forward. Put your head down and work. Whatever's in front of you, you're going to run into anyway.
Could you talk about that 26 NBA Finals?
And if you guys remember, we was down 3-1.
Welcome back. It's your boy DC here. Welcome to TalktoemDC, where we have real talks with real people. Y'all go like, share, and subscribe to this video. But I got a real good interview with Mo Williams. He has a net worth over $50 million. But in the interview, we just get down to like talking about business, investments, how his money moved throughout his NBA career. He talks about the legendary 3-1 series versus the Golden State Warriors back in 2016. It was just a great interview, very dope. I'm just so blessed that he sat down, took his time out his day, and came and talked to me. But y'all go like the video up, man. I'm starting this new series. Y'all really let me know. But let's just get into the video.
Y'all got my coach here with me. Good mentor, good person. And for the people who don't know, who am I here with?
Mo Williams, head men's basketball coach at Jackson State University, 14-year NBA veteran, went to the University of Alabama out of college from Jackson, Mississippi.
What is your current net worth?
That's undisclosed. I don't tell people that business, but it's pretty nice.
So did you come from a lot of money growing up?
No, but I did come from a two-parent household. My mom and my dad raised me, so I was blessed in that regard. But as far as financially, we weren't, missing any meals. But obviously we weren't living in the Beverly Hills either, so it was definitely a good upbringing for me.
What age did you get your first $1 million?
I was 20 years old when I got my first $1 million.
Did you have any kids?
I had one child at that time. I had my first child when I was in high school. I was 15 years old.
So like after retirement, like before you got into coaching, like what were you doing? Like in that little midway period?
Well, I was coaching. I was coaching from 2008. I was still playing. I didn't retire till 2016. So in 2008, I was living in Dallas at the time, Dallas, Texas. I had a gym and I started a youth program and it just kind of blew up from there. I retired in 2016 and I spent a year, 2017, just coaching my travel teams. And then in 2018, I got into college.
Business moves wise, did you do any specific like real estate, specific investments or anything you did with that time?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. For me, is you want to diversify your portfolio. I've had some good financial advisors in my life, still do to this day. So I'm invested in, stocks, bonds, invested in real estate. Those are my main three things that I focus on.
So I'm 22. I have a current net worth around like $70,000. I built this business up. For the past 4 months, I made $25,000. Do you have any ideas or tips for me as a young entrepreneur?
Well, for one, invest in yourself. Every dollar that you make, put half of it back into your business. So I think that's the best advice I can give you.
How big is investing in yourself? Even basketball-wise, how did you do that?
Just putting your head down and not looking forward, right? Don't look ahead. Don't try to vision something that's not there. Put your head down and work. Because if you put your head down and work, whatever's in front of you, you're going to run into anyway.
So as a professional athlete, what do you feel like was like the biggest drive that got you to where you needed to be?
Being an athlete, whether you playing grassroots growing up, whether you in high school, whether you go to college, there's always a step further, right? There's always another step you can go. So just the idea of getting to the NBA kept my drive going, knowing that every step of the way I was one step closer. So that drive and that hunger just kept growing because the want to get there so bad.
What misunderstandings do you think people have about like professional athletes?
Probably not humble. Think they better than people. Don't take care of themselves or they're fortunate to make. So those are some of the things that so often is said, but it happens in my world too. So many guys that kind of, lose their net worth or what we say fumble the bag, so I think those are some of the things that are said, just from a few people that has been in those situations.
You made it to the league. What do you feel like, what habit that got you there? Did you have a routine? What current things that you did daily that got you there?
Well, discipline, the discipline to get up every single day and work, even on days when you don't want to do it. The things that goes on when nobody's watching, those are the most important hours. And I took a certain type of discipline that I had that made sure I was doing things when other people weren't looking with the approach that everybody was watching.
So you made millions in your career. The Players Tribune says 60% of people, 5 years post-retirement, they go broke. How did you feel like what separated you to like not go broke in those 5 years?
Well, for me, you really dumb down your life. I think what happens is guys like myself in my profession, you live a certain way when you're playing in the NBA, and a lot of money is coming in each and every month. So you live that lifestyle because you're around that lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
If everybody around you driving Bentleys, you're probably going to get a Bentley at
Like
some
player
point.
inflation, like
You know, and so I think once you retire, you're not in that world. You're not pulling up the Rolls Royces next to you every single day. So it's not an influence there. I think when your life changes like mine, where I'm coming into an office every single day and going home every single day. Right now, there's no need for a Rolls Royce. There's no need for a Bentley in my regard, you know, so there's no need for me to per se waste that money. I can invest that money in something that's obtainable down the road.
Did you ever feel like you had to like catch up with those guys with like player inflation and stuff like that?
Well, I don't think catch up or is a good word. I think it's just kind of it's the landscape. It's just kind of the environment, you know, the influence, you know, that we have on each other. We want to get the watch because everybody has the Rolexes, you know, and once you get older and understand what's important, you know, some of those things are just won't be as important as it was when you're 20 years old. And you got to realize, you know, a lot of us coming to the NBA, we're 20 something years old. We really ain't had much. So a lot of guys experience a lot of things. And once they get older, they start to dumb it down a little bit.
Did your upbringing help you to help your money management, you feel like?
I don't think so because we never had it, you know, so I don't think nobody in my family knew how to handle, you know, that much money. So I obviously, you know, had to grow in that regard, just being around the right people or having the right people around me rather. I think that's the most important thing.
What was your highest earning year in your
My highest
life?
earning year was $10 million.
$10 million. Like, how do you even like split that up?
You know, at the time, you don't know is that much money because you just living your life. I'm working and they just hit my direct deposit. So, you know, you really don't, me personally, I really did sit back one day and say, man, I'm making $10 million. It was almost, you get to that point where you're young, you feel like it's going to come every month for the rest of your life. But those times was really good. It was that I was able to set myself up, really get into the investment world really fast when I started to make that type of money annually. But I just did the right things. Obviously, I did some foolish things, but more so the right things.
What was the turning point in your life where you felt like you were financially free?
Well, I think toward the end of my career, when I decided, you know, to retire, a lot of guys have to play.
Yeah.
I was in a position where I had the option to play or not.
During that last year, I was reading like you were deciding on coming back and not coming back. So what like got you to be like, okay, I'm good. I don't need to come back?
Well, financially, I was satisfied where I were if I didn't want to come back and play. And at that point, my body's done enough. Like that off season, I had surgery. So that was the main reason I decided to come back or not, that I want to go through another summer of rehabbing to come back and play another year or two, or, you know, get right into coaching, which something that I knew I wanted to do. Being financially stable at that time really helped my decision. I wasn't in a position where I had to play.
So speaking of coaching, what got you into it? Were you always like, in your career, you always felt like you were led to coach?
Absolutely. I mean, I was always a coach. I was always that type of person as a teammate that was unselfish, always thinking about somebody else. Coaching was always kind of in my blood. It was kind of something that I always wanted to do. And even during the seasons when I played in the NBA, during the offseason, the summer, I coached then too. So it was just something that I was gearing up to do. Didn't know if it was going to be in high school, youth, travel ball, college, or the NBA. You know, at that time I didn't know, but the college world has been great to me.
So speaking of the college world, how did you feel like this past season was for you?
I thought it was good. You know, great would have been being number one and going to the NCAA tournament. But when you look back on the year, you know, obviously I thought we did a lot of really, really good things that we can build on going into next year.
So each year through your coaching years, through the first time you were an assistant, I forgot which school.
Northridge.
Northridge.
And
then from the time now, how do you feel like each year you like got better at coaching?
Well, each year, absolutely. I mean, each year I've grown with the experience. You know, this will be going into my 6th year as a head coach.
Big time.
You know, so for me, each and every year I've gotten better. You know, each and every year I've grown in every area. This summer and going into next year would be no different.
Coach Mo, thank you so much. But for the last thing, could you talk about that 26 NBA Finals quote that you always tell us? When you talk about like how you weren't playing and you had to fight through adversity.
Yeah, for sure.
Like,
I'll shorten it a little bit because that's a long story. But this is something I leave for you, just fighting through adversity. and understanding that always got to stay ready. And this is a life lesson. This is not basketball. I was in a situation my last year when we won the championship. Kyrie Irving with the Cleveland Cavaliers, 2016. He was injured. He missed the first 20-something odd game from the start of the season until Christmas. He didn't come back to Christmas. And I started and played each and every one of those games. Had really, really good statistics. And when Kyrie came back, I didn't play anymore. There was no conversation with me and the coach that indicated that I want to go play. So that was the most probably adverse moment I've been in my life as a basketball player. That was the first time that I didn't play in my life. So that was tough. Took me a couple months to really shake out of it. But once I did, I just put my head down. I started to work. It still did not equate to me getting on the court. But what happened was we get to the finals. And if you guys remember, we was down 3-1 to the Golden State Warriors. That particular season, they haven't lost 2 games in a row. Throughout the season. If they lost a game, they won the next game every single time. So we're down 3-1 and we beat them game 5. And that's the game I played. I haven't played since Christmas. We down 3-1. I play game 5. We win. They haven't lost twice. We go to game 6. We win game 6. I also play game 6. And then we go to Golden State for game 7. And you talking about losing 3 games in a row. That's unheard of. We beat them. And I played game 7. But the moral of the story is if I didn't have a mindset to stay with it and focus and get through adversity and not break down and not quit, I wouldn't have been ready for the moment. And me not being ready could have equated to us not winning the NBA championship, because those minutes, when you're in a championship type of game, every single minute, every single substitution, all that matters. So for me to be mentally focused, mentally ready, that's something that I hope that your listeners can learn from my situation, because you can be in that situation in life. And I think you can relate to that.
All right, Coach Mo, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
So we at the end of the video. That was such a dope interview, man. Honestly, he dropped a lot of gems onto us, even towards the end where he was saying through the adversity, how to stick through it, because it's just true in life. No matter how, even if it's in basketball, it's in business, you could work so hard, but not everything's gonna go your way, But honest to God, that was such a great interview. Y'all like this and subscribe for more stuff like this. I'm gonna be getting way more business people, more retired NBA players, just anybody and everybody who's just willing to sit down with me, talk, or we just gonna have real talks. We just gonna spit the mental side of their craft and also the mental side of business. So we continue to educating everybody. But honestly, great video. Love y'all. I'm out, man. I'm out.